Two of the greatest questions someone asks about life are, was I known? And did my life actually matter? There's something about a person that blooms when they're fully known and fully loved. And there is no greater motivation than to do something with one's life that matters. Teens today have been forced into a significant amount of change. This is the first generation that has had to learn, build, and maintain friendships and search for significance all on a screen. They're asking questions like, am I measuring up? Does anyone actually know who I am? Does anyone care? This is where Young Life comes into play. Every week, we have something called Club and Campaigners that students in Prosper attend. These events are designed to break down the walls to share the best news ever, Jesus Christ. Club is what we call controlled chaos. There are crazy games, entertaining songs, and an overall high-energy night that all funnels down to a simple message about Jesus.
The best happy meal ever is when Jesus feeds the 5,000, right? With 5 loaves and 2 fish.
There is a woman named Carrie Labhart that she worked at my first school. I moved to Prosper 3 years ago. And when I came to Prosper, one of the first things I was concerned about was being able to find a way to meet students where they were. In my previous district, I had helped co-lead FCA for 7 or 8 years. And so when I moved to a new district, that was like my number one priority, was figuring out how to do that. And I found out Prosper didn't have FCA at the middle school level. So I was really sad. And then Carrie ended up finding out that I was interested in that and told me all about Young Life. And I had never really participated with Young Life a whole lot. And so she was like, oh, no, we need people to come hang out. So she let me come hang out at Club and got involved from there. And yeah, it's been a really cool 3 years.
Campaigners is a more intentional time for kids to deepen their faith. They ask questions and overall feel safe to be real with where they're at. For 1 week out of the summer, we take a bus full of students to camp. This is truly the best week of their lives. Camp allows students to get out of their environment and unplug from distractions and stress so they can have a blast and finally breathe. There are amazing recreational activities, crazy skits, and ultimately, they hear a simple message about Jesus that is spoken in a way where they can understand it.
He fed thousands of people with just a few loaves of bread and a couple of fish.
Currently, there are 15 high school students who are a part of our Life team, who go the distance by being trained weekly to create an atmosphere of belonging to influence and impact their peers. Students reaching other students is the most basic level of our ministry.
I think really every town needs something like Young Life just for teenagers to be able to come in and get away from the outside world and be welcomed in and feel like they're at home and maybe learn about a guy named Jesus and come to him.
I think it's like a really good way for people that are like new to the area to kind of like get involved and like be able to like become friends with people with the similar faith and similar interests, because you meet a lot of people here that you don't only share like a love for Jesus, you meet people from like both schools, and even Frisco, when the Frisco kids came, you meet people that have like, they have the same favorite sport, the same favorite team, and it's just like a good bonding experience for everyone.
We also have 5 adult volunteers who are working full-time jobs and still make it a priority to show up in the lives of students every single week. These leaders don't criticize nor judge where students are at. Let's say an event goes south, they get stood up by a teen, they had a rough week at work. These leaders will keep going the distance to reach their high school and middle school friends. They love and know kids by name in the same way that Jesus knows and loves us by name. Committee consists of parents, Young Life alumni, and members of the community that care about teens, but want to play more of a behind-the-scenes role. There are currently 12 members of our committee in Prosper. They are filling in the gaps and making sure our leaders and staff have the support they need to continue going the distance.
As committee members, it's great to see the things that are going on behind the scenes. We get to see the leaders come together and plan, pray for the kids in the community, just try to make this the best experience for the high school kids, middle school kids in the area, which is cool to see what happens That's one of my favorite things about Young Life is the intentionality that nobody really sees that goes on in the planning process, and it's just so impressive.
I think it's a great organization because it's not a church, and so it gives an easy access to kids to, I guess, have community, hear the gospel, and a non-churchy environment.
Yeah, it's kind of like neutral ground, kind of, for people to invite their friends. Our kids have been in church since the day they were born, almost. Our kids are not the unchurched kids like in the community, but Young Life has provided a place for them to ask hard questions and for them to wrestle with their doubts. And it's provided a place where this faith that they've grown up with can start to become their own, where they can own it and where they can know Jesus personally.
Prosper is one of the fastest growing areas in Dallas. Currently, there are 4 middle schools and 2 high schools. By 2031, Prosper ISD is slated to grow more than double that size, with potentially 5 high schools and 9 middle schools. If you were to count all of the students in Prosper in 10 years, there may be more than 43,000. Our goal in Young Life is to know every middle school and high school student by name and introduce them to the good news of Jesus. With all of this growth coming our way, there will be no way Prosper Young Life will be able to sustain itself if we are wanting to grow with the town. The specific need of our local Young Life area is for more manpower. This includes recruiting more adult volunteer leaders to step up and step into teens' lives. This also includes having more committee members join our team to help meet the practical needs of our volunteers and staff, and to be a voice for our teenagers in the community. And ultimately, in order to manage this rapidly growing area, we are going to need another full-time staff member. Young Life staff wear multiple hats. They lead volunteers, those volunteers reach students, those students come to Young Life events, which is all planned by the staff. This is where you come in. We believe that God has gifted every single person with the ability to reach people and make disciples. If you are burdened about the lives of our teenagers in Prosper and want to make a difference, there are 3 ways you can get involved. The first way is becoming a Young Life leader. This is boots on the ground ministry, and you can tangibly see the impact you make. The second way is by joining our committee. We are always looking for people who love the mission that Young Life stands for and want to support the staff and volunteers. And the third way is by giving. We believe money is a great tool, and it gives the ministry a way to keep functioning.
So there are thousands of kids in Prosper. So I'm gonna try and get through this without getting, I don't think I'm gonna make it. There are thousands of kids in Prosper that need to know the Lord, and we have a lot of kids that would have no interest in going to church ever, for whatever reason that might be, or maybe they're interested and their parents won't take them, and so we have thousands of kids that need to hear about who Jesus is. And then on top of that, we have thousands of kids that have heard of who Jesus is, but they still don't believe that he's true or that he's real or that he cares about them enough to have lived and ultimately died on the cross. And then we have thousands of kids who have heard of Jesus and go to church, but they don't really know what a life of faith looks like on their own. And so they need a community of their peers that are doing that life. They need a community filled with adults that are doing that life, and just being able to have the chance to point them back to Jesus. I think that there are lots of children that if we did not have something like Young Life Prosper, they may never know who Jesus is at any point in their life. And possibly on top of that, it may be years before they come to know. And I just can't imagine having a platform to be able to tell them about who Jesus is and not taking advantage of that and that existing here.
I can't get this to my kids enough. There's nothing that I can do as a parent that's gonna teach our kids what Young Life will teach them. So that's comforting, and it kind of gives security.
Will you join us in going the distance?